What is going on, everybody? Welcome to our morning show. I'm just gonna quickly talk through this small six gamer, but I've got some Memorial Day things I've been supposed to take care of, but I thought I had some time to do this, so thought I'd talk a little about what I was doing. I sort of went a little different way than I was going to go originally in chat, and what I would like to do, and what I was trying to do, is come up with a three-man stack from St. Louis that I like to pair with some of the chalk that we're going to get, because you're going to see a lot of runs scored. And I mean, this Cubs Brewers game, this is a spot where it's going to be kind of hard to avoid wanting to attack. And then you have the obvious Marlins side of things, but I actually am lower on the Marlins. I think I'm going to probably skip them today and try to fill in with a Cardinal stack. But I'm doing like a lot of 3-3-2s, maybe 4-2-2s, that kind of thing. I don't have the five-man stacks. I just think that there are other ways to get different with it. Both the Cardinals and the Padres would be my favorite pivots off of the, fairly, I guess the really chalky Cubs game. So that's what I'm doing. Pitching wise, I actually think that the best, like Pablo Lopez, this is a great example of a spot I'm going to try and take advantage of in Coors. The guy doesn't have a whole lot of bad outings in general. He has the highest K prop on the slate. He's obviously expensive, but if I can play Lopez and Valdez together I can still get the stacks in that I want. And I actually think that Pablo Lopez is the best pitcher on the slate. So I don't mind if you want to go Bundy instead, but I personally will be going with Lopez at lower ownership to get different. What's up to my man K9? Good to see you here in here today. Guys, say what's up and drop in any questions. This is probably going to be a very quick show because there's not a whole lot to discuss. But I think that you can, I think playing a combination of these Cubs Brewers with a St. Louis or San Diego to get a little bit different is where I'm at right now. I don't mind if anybody wanted to go play Houston and just say, hey, you know what? We have a chance to play the wind's blowing out at 10 miles an hour in Oakland. We have a chance to play probably the most talented offense on the slate. And we're going to get low ownership on them. So I don't mind if anybody wants to do that. I just didn't find it in my builds personally. I also wouldn't mind if you wanted to play in the hot weather and the wind blowing out either side. Well, especially the Giants side of things. I just don't pick on Logan Webb. The guy just doesn't get hit hard enough for me. He does give up stolen bases. There's maybe some advantage you can find there. Not exactly the most run heavy team in Philly, but Webb's good at keeping the ball down. So my plan was to play Webb or Gibson in every lineup. But as I looked further into it, it was just too easy to get to the very top level for me. So that's what I ended up doing in the Valdez and Pablo Lopez. So, and by the way, the Pablo Lopez, I mean, I don't even understand. Like projected for 10 fantasy points. I understand it's Colorado, but sometimes I think we overrate these situations, especially because it's not particularly warm there. It's obviously always good hitting weather in Colorado, but it's 67 degrees. You've got side winds. There's just nothing really like all that exciting to me about trying to pick on a good pitcher. The one thing you do have is you can get Colorado at a low ownership, so I think that's an interesting way to go. I like that idea about the Hira at first base over Tellez. I think that's one way to do it. The way I'm doing it though is I am going to be again making my more primary stack is going to be the the Cubs. I mean, I do like both sides of it, but I think the Cubs come in as the lower owned of the two sides, and again they're going to be owned as well. But you've got Schwindel, Contreras will be really popular, but I don't think Schwindel and Wisdom will be as popular. And Schwindel, especially, is cheaper than Tellez, so I think that's a good way to go. Maybe get just a little bit different, but I agree with the Hira idea as well. I do think Tellez will be far more popular, and Hira, you get the savings, on top of it. So I actually don't mind that at all, and definitely something I'm considering doing. But I like the 3-3-2s again with trying to use five from that Cubs and Milwaukee game, and then trying to get the three-man stack of for me it's looking like San Diego, St. Louis, but I could make a good case for I mean Minnesota is going to be popular, so you're not getting off the board enough there. San Francisco I think is going to be lower owned, so I would go there, or I'd go to Houston. But I personally am finding myself with some St. Louis love today. I don't think that Nick Martinez is as good as we've treated him like he is. So I did like that. I do like that idea though of what you mentioned about Hira, but also I think you can do the same thing with just basically the same price point playing Schwindel over Tellez, and you're already at least getting a little bit different. All right, guys, pop in any questions or thoughts. Again, I appreciate the things from Adam. Those that definitely does make some sense to me. And when is Kiston Hira again? I mean, he's actually been much better this year, and he's homered his last 2 games. But what happened, man? I really he's one of the rare guys we see these days who I just was much higher on, and I'm really I'm not now as much. But so for St. Louis, I think going Gorman, Gorman. I'm just trying to think here if this makes sense. Gorman, Yepes, and then we don't have Corey Dickerson in the lineup like I was hoping. So the outfield is not quite as exciting, and that's what I was trying to look for spots there. But both Donovan and Bader are fine. Even Bader at the bottom of the order probably shouldn't be. By the way, he's actually pretty solid numbers overall. But anyway, that's sort of the way that I'm breaking down this particular slate and the way I'm going to attack it. And again, it's weird when you take the chalky stacks and try to get different with it. But like Adam pointed out, the Hira idea is a really good one and something that I definitely want to get some mixes of on my builds today. He doesn't run anymore. It's true. He has been it's been very, very strange for him. Anyway, so that's that. I don't think there's a whole lot more to go through in terms of what I'm actually doing. Maybe you guys can tell me a little bit about what you're doing, how you're sort of dealing with the chalkiness and this great hitting weather. So I'm happy to hear anything about that. Another thing you could do is you could play the bottom of Milwaukee as well. There's no reason it has to all come from the top. I like the idea of attacking the Cubs more than I do like the idea of attacking Milwaukee, but I definitely want to get some exposure to some of these. You've got Morel at 33. He'll be fairly popular. Contreras will be fairly popular, but other than that, I don't think that these guys are going to end up overly popular with Wisdom, Schwindel. And certainly one guy you can play for Chicago who no one's going to play is he in the lineup? Did he end up cracking? I don't understand why I have him not here. Where did they end up batting? Yeah, I mean, you could play PJ Higgins as your catching option instead of Contreras, and you're just already getting way different with that. So I like all of those ideas personally. So I'm going to be getting different mixes of all of that. I want to see what happens with this Minnesota lineup, how it comes out, because I do think that while I don't want to play them as I think they're going to be fairly chalky. I do think like where Garlick or Larnach hits could determine some potential value there. Probably looking at 6-7, but it's not necessarily guaranteed. And the other, I mean, it's funny. I feel like they'll be popular, but then you look at the prices and like paying $5K for Luis Arias. I like Arias as a real life player. He doesn't hit home runs. Paying $5K for guys who don't hit home runs just always, even on a smaller slate doesn't ever feel good to me. All right, let's get over to some other things, and I'll take a look and see if there's any questions in just a minute. But yeah, Garlic, and then we've got this Velasquez for minimum cost batting at the bottom of the Cubs order. I think you can go that way. I keep sort of pivoting back and forth between that the Schwindel and Velasquez versus Tyrone Taylor and Keston Hira. So that's sort of how my builds are ending up going quite a bit. Let's see. And I've got the same lineup a couple times, and I'll jump back in and take a look at any questions that y'all have or thoughts that you all have in just a minute. Let's do Bader here, and we will do Keston Hira. Actually, you know what? Yeah. Throw in the one Pujols spot here. I was hoping to get Corey Dickerson, and it was going to make my little stack work over there for St. Louis pretty nicely. I hear you. I mean, Milwaukee's the run total is great. It's a pretty. I mean, with the weather blowing out, I wouldn't say it's 50% that they're going to score 6 to 7 runs. That's absolutely not the way that should be looked at. It should be looked at that they're going to probably more like 20% of the time score 9 or more runs. And then probably 20% of the time score 3 or less runs, and the rest is somewhere in the middle. So that's not what it is. Yeah, I think the Lopez thing is a good idea. I think, I mean, one thing about Valdez that we talk about this all the time. I mean, look, nobody's ever a lock in general. What do you want? What do we want from a guy though, in terms of safety that Lopez doesn't provide in a good matchup? Best matchup on the slate. Yeah, dominates much better teams. Always has a very long leash. Basically throws 100 pitches every time he goes out there. Is probably an all-star level pitcher. I don't. The only argument against Valdez is just that he's popular. But like, what are you trying to compare him to? Is there any other pitcher on the slate that makes more sense than him? No, not even close. But do you want to get different because of ownership? Sure, go ahead. But even if you play a guy like Bundy, you're getting not much. You're not much lower on the ownership with a much higher risk level than you are with Valdez in general. And for what it's worth, Valdez has pretty good experience against this A's team, and I'm gonna take a quick look at his history. He with the current A's lineup, although it's kind of hard because some of these A's haven't been around there forever. So let's just take a quick look and see what the BVP history looks like. If there's any reason we could try to find to fade him, because I'm not going to, but I certainly understand, trying. Yeah, actually, it's not much of a history against this particular group of A's because, as we know, most of these A's didn't play much until recently. But I'm going to play him. That's where I'm at. So that's it. What's up, my man, Jim? How you doing, buddy? I hope everybody's having a good Memorial Day. I am probably going to take a little snooze after this. I'm just got up real early this morning, got to get a workout in a little bit later, and I've got a bunch of plans I've got to get to in the afternoon. So I hopefully can do a live before lock for the night slate, but I'm not promising that I'm going to because I'm just not sure yet that I'm going to be able to get there. So top stacks. Well, the stacks are the easy. I mean, the top stacks are Milwaukee, Chicago, then Miami. But I'm going to try and get a 3-man in most of my lineups of St. Louis or San Diego to get off of the chalk and then play 5, whether it's a 3-2 or a 4-1 from the Chicago Milwaukee game. I think it's a much better game to target than the Colorado game myself. So that's what I'm doing. And then I'm pitching Pablo Lopez. I have no problem playing pitchers in Coors. So I am going to take that gamble. It's always odd to me when you have a low-owned guy who has the highest K prop on the slate. So I'm always going to be playing those kind of guys. It's just who I am. So anyway, I'm going to bounce in a few minutes unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about. Let's see. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Adam, but you need a game flow to go exactly the way you want if you're going to start thinking about the relievers being taxed, because they're only going to use mop-up guys if it's like a 7-run game or something. If it's a close game, if it's within 2 runs, they're going to use their normal top relievers, even though those normal top relievers aren't necessarily good. They just that's who they're going to do. That's what they're going to do. So anyway, y'all, I appreciate it. It's good to be back with you. I'm going to be out on Wednesday. It's going to be 1 day a week, as I said earlier, and I'm going to try and fill in on certain days on the weekend and do this stuff. But I don't think I'm going to have my stacks and builds and plays and stuff up today. I'm going to try to get there for live. I know Sheets did a preview as well. I know Rhodey's going to get his stacks and stuff in for the later games. And yeah, appreciate all you guys. And I will wait around because we just got a few more people in chat see if there's any more questions. And if not, let's make some money today. So do I like any small? Not even a little bit. I think that small probably will be I don't see any reason why you need to spend $4K on a pitcher for one thing. I think that game is going to be completely lit up. It is the Cubs, but yeah, no small for me personally. If you're playing a ton of lineups, maybe you get there. I just think it's not necessary on this slate. And I think that there's the bats that you really want are mostly cheap. The only ones that are really expensive are Contreras and Yelich. Even those guys are surrounded by a bunch of cheapos. So I don't think you need to worry about, you know, I don't know. I'm not trying to play a 4K pitcher just because on this particular slate. It's weird. A lot of people like to do it more on smaller slates. I sometimes like to do it on bigger slates. It really depends on the quality of the other pitching. But I do think that like sometimes if you have like 4 or 5 bats that you really want and like 3 are in one game and you're turning that into a stack, and like the we had to do it with the who was it? Oh, the Yankees when they got hot and everything, and Glaber started costing a ton, and then you had 6K Judge and 6K Stanton between the two of them. They averaged out to 6K. In those situations, I might do it, but I don't love the high expensive bats today. Sure, you could argue for the Twins. Trevor Larnach though now is 2,600 batting fifth. That's pretty interesting. Um, I had him projected at seventh earlier today. Garlic at 2.2 batting second. And no Buxton though, so that's going to take me off of the stack. You can do it now really cheaply though with Minnesota. I mean, because you've got Garlic, Larnach, and you've got Miranda at 2.5, and you've got Nick Gordon at 2K, and even Urshela is 35. I mean, you could really easily build a nice Minnesota stack. What I don't like is the wind blowing in 13 miles an hour from right field. It makes the lefties a little bit less interesting to me. So I am not as high on the Twins with no Kepler and no Buxton. All right, so that's where I'm at, guys. I do hope everybody crushes it today. I hope that everybody had a good weekend. I want to know how Joanne and some of the other people did who had some nice 6 of 6s in the golf. I did have some burns, but it didn't get me there because I ended up with too many MCs, including my man Kazire bogeying the 18th to miss the cut. It was not a fun day for me. Anyway, guys, appreciate y'all. I hope you have a great day. Good luck, and somebody take something down. I'll see y'all in